What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're bringing it back to our Star Trek movie marathon with the 8th film in the series and second movie starring the crew from the next generation. It's Star Trek First Contact. Man, after Star Trek Generations, I started a habit of watching The Next Generation on Netflix, and I've been having a blast. I heard it doesn't even get great until the third season or so, which is bonkers to me because I'm actually digging the first season. I'm almost at the first season finale, but now I'm regretting bouncing back and forth between the show and the movies because the main concept of First Contact is that it references something that happened in the show, which I'm unfamiliar with at this point and I'm already feeling spoiled on. So let's see how this film measures up to a Trekkie neophyte, and let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, neophyte, a person who is new to a subject, skill, or belief. Star Trek First Contact once again has the crew of the Enterprise traveling through time, but in this instance, to Earth's nearby future when humankind is about to make first contact with alien life, which the Enterprise cannot stop from happening. But at the same time, they have to stop a number of Borgs from assimilating the entire planet, starting with the Enterprise itself. So obviously this film pays tribute to a Next Generation episode featuring the Borgs, and I have not gotten there yet. Thankfully, it doesn't fully rely on your experience with that episode, as I believe there's enough exposition in here for you to completely understand what happened in the past and why it's so important to Picard now. I also think there's a lot of great stuff going on with the pacing of the film. There's 3 stories going on simultaneously in different places. First of all, you have the stuff going on the surface of Earth, where Geordi and Riker are trying to make sure that history goes on as planned. On the Enterprise, you have a group of resistant officers led by Captain Picard trying to figure out how to stop the Borg. And then you have the Borg themselves, who have kidnapped Data and are busy trying to assimilate him and forcing him to rethink about certain philosophies that he lives by and how illogical that is because he's an android, not a human. And amazingly, the movie does a great job mixing all 3 of these storylines pretty seamlessly so that it never really feels too convoluted. It all makes sense, and it offers everybody an important stake in what's actually going on in the film. There's actually a lot of people that consider First Contact to be the best Star Trek film out there. And even though I haven't finished my rewatch of the films, I can see where that might be the case. They did a lot of great things here. Visually, this once again takes a giant leap forward in what we physically see on screen. The CGI has gotten better. The costume, makeup, lighting, color, as usual, it's all freaking great. The interior of this version of the Enterprise is amazing. It's kind of like Doctor Who, where they have the ever-so-changing interior of the TARDIS. And speaking of Doctor Who, what even are the Borgs other than glorified Cybermen? But hey, I'm not actually complaining, because the Cybermen are one of the deadliest classic main villains of Doctor Who for a reason. And this is the most tense Star Trek film yet. And I know they get similarly tense later on, but this was the first time it really got deeper, and you could feel the tension and terrifying threat that everybody faced in this film. There were consequences here. I did have a couple of problems here, though. They operated like the show was still going on, even though it wasn't. What do I mean by that? I felt like I missed something here because in between the first and the second movie, stuff happened without explanation. Geordi LaForge stopped using his visor, and now he had ocular implants, and those ocular implants, they looked cool, but it didn't have any explanation. At this point, people knew his character for nearly 10 years, and his look with the visor, it's iconic, and it was just randomly gone now. I felt like maybe First Contact wasn't the second movie, maybe there was something in between there, and that's not the case. Nobody got to see him get those ocular implants. He just no longer had a visor, and it made no sense. Nobody even made offhand remarks about, hey, those implants look nice. Hey, where'd your visor go? Nothing like that. Nothing. So it was incredibly weird. Another thing that happened in this movie that wasn't really explained was Data's emotion chip, something that he could not control in the first movie. They actually worked pretty hard on giving Data a life lesson that you can't control your emotions, that you have to learn to live with them, and that actually makes you a better person for it. And in First Contact, apparently Data figured out a way to turn off the emotion chip with a twitch of the head. I feel like it lessens what they worked towards in Generations. Let's go ahead and talk about my final score for a second. From an unbiased technical perspective, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This film took yet another step forward in standing out behind the scenes. The visuals were better. The editing was pristine when it came down to mixing the three stories together in a very effective way. Each character was given an important role to play here. My unbiased score is 86%, and because I had a lot of fun with this movie, my bias score is higher at 92%, averaging everything out to a final score of 89%. 89 out of 100 possible stars, granting this film with a letter grade of B+, and currently placing it in first place for Star Trek film series. So far, I was pleasantly surprised with this one, even though it had a lot of references to the TV show, some of which I picked up on, some not so much. It's still a great movie all on its own. Guys, let's hear what you guys have to say about First Contact in the comment section down below, and as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this review, because there's always something more like it coming out every single day. Hit the subscribe button and bell to be notified when I come out with the next Star Trek movie review, which I believe is supposed to be Star Trek Insurrection. And until then, peace out!
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert, he is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie pick. Thanks for joining up with us.